Judge labels black woman weak. Moments later, her powerful message changes everything forever. Angela sat in the weight of the courthouse, her heart beating hard against her ribcage. The sun filtered through the tall windows, casting shadows that felt heavy on her shoulders. Today determined the future of her children Aaliyah and Jamal. With accusations swirling around her, she felt the stares of indifferent eyes piercing through her. This wasn't just another day in court. This was a battle for everything she loved. A singular moment felt impossibly heavy. She was a black woman in a sea of white faces, facing the judgment of those who only saw her skin, not her spirit. Her name was whispered among the crowd, a name soon to be ridiculed. Just another woman trying to get by, they'd say. But Angela was more. Her parents had fought tooth and nail for her future, struggling to give her opportunities they were never afforded, instilling in her the strength to rise above the harsh judgments of the world. And here she was, a nurse who saved lives, but today she needed to save her own family. As the gavel struck and the judge took his seat, Angela felt the air grow thick with tension. The moment the accusations were read aloud, her heart sunk. This woman is inadequate, the judge's words crushed her spirit. In that instant, she felt like the world was collapsing around her. Her hands trembled under the table as she clenched her jaw, struggling to hold back the tears that threatened to spill, but then, something inside her shifted. She could hear her father's voice whispering perseverance, see her mother's fierce determination in the flicker of the courtroom lights. Angela could feel a familiar warmth building in her chest, pushing back against the weight of his words. Weak, she mouthed silently to herself, each heartbeat fueling her fire. With a deep breath, she stood up, eyes steely and determined. Your Honor, I am not weak. The words burst from her, filling the room with an undeniable force. She wove together tales of long nights spent studying less than 100 yards from where those courtroom walls closed her in. Her parents were her backbone, who taught her that vulnerability was not a crutch, it was a part of her strength. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. As Angela spoke, she felt the full weight of her story lift into the air, penetrating the judgmental gaze of the crowd. I fight for my children every single day, she exclaimed, her voice tinged with passion, echoing against the walls. The murmurs shifted. What began as doubt turned to intrigue. Each person leaning in, captivated by this fierce mother who wouldn't let a man's dismissive label define her. Tears glistened in her eyes, but her resolve burned brighter. She stood before them, not as a victim, but as a warrior. The room became electric, a stage for her truth. Would her voice echo loud enough to shift a judge's heart and change the tide of this battle? Angela's heart raced, the weight of uncertainty lingering like a specter, but she pressed on, unwavering. What would happen next was uncertain, but one thing remained clear: she had taken the first step to reclaim her power. Angela's voice filled the room, strong and unmistakable. She was no longer just a name they were finally seeing her, a woman molded by fire and hardship. The crowd shifted, the air pulsing with anticipation. She continued, her words spilling out, each sentence a declaration of her worth. I am a mother, a protector, and a fighter. My children deserve more than the shadow of doubt cast upon us by society. The judge shifted uncomfortably in his seat, lines of confusion visibly drawing across his forehead. Angela noticed his fidgeting and took a step closer, her pulse quickening. The onlookers, once mere spectators, were now entwined in her story, leaning in closer as she painted a picture of her life. I remember the nights I worked double shifts, every hour spent far from home. I did it for Aaliyah and Jamal. They are my everything. A ripple of murmured conversations began to echo in the chamber, soft and tentative, as if her strength had stirred something in each person present. Angela couldn't back down now. This was her moment, her chance to inspire not just the judge but everyone watching. Every eye was on her, and for the first time in a long while, she relished the attention. She felt powerful. I am not defined by the color of my skin or by your preconceived notions. I rose above every challenge placed before me. You call me weak, but where is your strength? Her heart soared with each breath, igniting a fire inside that she had thought was extinguished. Then she turned toward the gallery, her expression searching their faces, a sea of varied emotions. She caught the gaze of Aaliyah, her daughter, seated quietly in the back, eyes wide and brimming with tears. A surge of love and protection surged through Angela, compelling her to speak directly to her children. I want my babies to grow up not just hoping for a future, but knowing they can create one no matter the barriers. That's what I fight for. A wild clap broke out from one corner of the courtroom, the sound echoing like thunder against the walls. One voice sprang up, then another. The crowd's energy turned electric, a palpable change ignited by Angela's words. It felt like a movement, a joint declaration of resilience that enveloped her. Angela looked back to the judge, her chin set high. Do not judge me by your standards, but rather by the love I carry for my children. This isn't just about me, it's a call for everyone who has been labeled less. You could feel the weight of the moment settle in, a turning point that shifted the dynamic in the room. Murmurs of agreement rippled through the gallery. Lawyers written off as indifferent leaned forward in their chairs, intrigued by the fiery resolve of a woman they once deemed vulnerable. Angela could sense the energy in the courtroom shifting beneath her feet. The tide was turning. What would happen next was anyone's guess. Would the judge feel her passion? Could he see through the years of bias that shaped his views? As she held her breath, Angela felt the hope blooming fiercely within her, threatening to burst forth. But then, a familiar face appeared in the doorway. It was Sarah, her best friend, breathless and wide-eyed. Angela's heart dropped. What was she doing here? What news could throw another wrench into this whirlwind of tension? Angela! Sarah shouted, rushing forward. You need to know something. As the words hung in the air, so too did the uncertainty of what lay ahead. Would this revelation aid Angela in her fight, or would it shatter everything she'd worked to build? Angela felt the room holding its breath, the murmurs fading as all eyes turned toward Sarah. Her friend's face was flushed, but not with excitement. It was a look of urgency, of something looming at the edge of clarity that could not be ignored. Angela, Sarah breathed, closing the distance to her. I didn't know if I'd make it in time. I heard what you were saying, and it's incredible, but there's something else, something I found out just before I left. The courtroom felt heavy, as if the air itself was waiting for what Sarah would say next. Declaring her strength before the judge just moments ago felt fragile now. Despite the energy surging through the gallery, doubt slipped in like an unwelcome guest. Talk to me. What is it? Angela pressed, desperation creeping into her voice. Sarah hesitated, glancing nervously between Angela and the judge before continuing. It's about the case. They have new evidence, and it changes everything. Her voice trembled ever so slightly. It felt like a dam breaking. Confusion and fear flooded Angela's mind. What do you mean? What evidence? Somebody at work. They overheard the prosecution talking. They have documents. They're trying to paint you as the aggressor, Angela, but it's all fabricated. Angela's heart raced. She could feel the walls closing in, memories of past judgments swirling in her mind like dark clouds. What could they possibly twist now? Listen to me. They're saying you threatened a neighbor. It's nonsense. We know this, but Sarah's voice faltered as her hand flew to her mouth. Distress gripped her. Angela's eyes widened. That neighbor had been a source of pain for her family, always stirring trouble, feeding into the prejudice around them. They can't use this. She cried, dread pooling in her stomach. They will if we don't take a stand, Sarah said, her tone firming as she straightened her shoulders. Angela, you have to keep pushing. Your voice has never been stronger. Don't let them bury you under their lies. Just then, the judge cleared his throat, pulling the court's focus back. Ms. Martinez, he said, his voice much more cautious than before, this is a serious matter. Your friend may have relevant information. I suggest we take a recess. Angela's breath caught as she caught Aaliyah's tearful gaze, wide and pleading from the back of the room. That sweet face reminded her of everything she was fighting for. The room buzzed with energy, murmurs of concern rippling through the crowd as the judge's words sank in. It felt like the tide had shifted underground, the sands of judgment shifting beneath her feet. Angela, please, Sarah urged, squeezing her hand. You have to use this moment. You were reaching them. Taking a deep breath, Angela felt courage swell. I won't let them label me weak. They don't get to define my story. She turned back to the judge, fury simmering inside her. You'll hear me out. I refuse to go quietly while they twist the narrative. The courtroom seemed to come alive, shaking off its old assumptions like a snake shedding its skin. Whispers turned into nods of agreement. She could see it, people rallying behind her. For a fleeting moment, Angela's fear collided with her determination. What if this was the moment that would change everything? Just as the vibrations of hope surged, she recognized the weight of what hung in the air. Was this truly the battle she was meant to fight? And then she realized, there was more at stake than she had ever imagined. Angela, Sarah whispered, pulling her back to the present. What do we do next? The question hung between them as reality tightened its grip, full of layers waiting to unravel. The next step could either build a foundation for justice or lead them deeper into shadows. What would she choose now? As the recess was called, the tension was palpable, thick enough to drown in. Angela stood at a crossroads, but could she gather the strength needed to face what was to come? Angela's heart pounded as she stepped away from Sarah, the world around her blurring. Echoes of the judge's voice still lingered in the air, but her focus was drawn inward. This time, there was no room for doubt. Clenching her fists, she grabbed onto the courage that flared inside her, warming her blood like a fire igniting against the cold winds of uncertainty. Angela. Sarah called, urgency threading through her words. We need a plan. They can't hit you with this. We'll expose their lies. Nodding, Angela felt a sense of clarity wash over her. We have to gather as much information as we can. If they think they can control this narrative, they're dead wrong. She could already feel the wheels turning in her mind, the wheels of a strategy, a way to fight back. As the recess stretched to silence, Angela's gaze wandered the crowd. Familiar faces were there, people she had known for years, friends and family who had weathered storms with her. Some looked hopeful, others concerned, but all were ready to support her fight. She could almost hear their whispered chants of strength, urging her on. Her attention darted to Aaliyah. The little girl looked so small, clutching a worn teddy bear as if it were a shield. Angela's heart ached for her. Aaliyah didn't deserve this heaviness. No child should have to carry the burden of adult struggles. She steeled her resolve. This isn't just for me. It's for her, too, she thought, swallowing back the tears that threatened. Angela. Sarah's hand gripped her arm, pulling her back into the present. We need to find that evidence. We have to find that person who overheard something. Someone will help us. Right. If we get our hands on those documents, we can prove their lies, Angela said, her mind racing with possibilities. But we have to move quickly. They won't let this sit for long. Let South head to my place. I might have some connections, Sarah suggested, her eyes flickering with determination. As they moved toward the exit, Angela felt a swell of pride. Each step was heavy with purpose, weighing down her insecurities, pushing her forward. The maze of the courtroom faded into the background, replaced by the road ahead, a highway of possibilities where they could change everything, but setting foot outside was like stepping into a different reality. The light felt stronger, the air thicker. A realization hit her like a gust of wind, everything she had fought for all these years was reaching a boiling point, once safely outside, the feeling of being out in the open allowed her to breathe. The sun glared down with a warmth that felt both welcoming and weighty. "We can do this," she told Sarah, hoping her own vulnerability was obscured by a veil of strength. "We have to." They hopped into Sarah's car, and Angela watched the scenery whip by. Each passing glance felt loaded with meaning. Stores they used to visit together, playgrounds where they spent afternoons, everything was a reminder of what she was fighting for, of what could be lost. As they made their way to Sarah's home, Angela allowed hope to sprout within her. But it mingled with fear as well. What if they couldn't prove the lies? What if they were too late? The questions buzzed in her mind, as persistent as a fly at a picnic. When they arrived, Sarah dashed inside while Angela lingered outside for a moment, grounding herself. She didn't want those creeping doubts to take root. Before stepping in, she took a deep breath, readying herself for the next steps. This was their fight now. Her life hadn't just been uprooted, it was fueling a cause that demanded every ounce of her energy. Just as she entered, Sarah turned to her, eyes bright with anticipation. "I have a list of colleagues who might know something. If we reach out now, we can get ahead of them." A sudden thought crossed Angela's mind, making her freeze in place. "What if they catch wind of us trying to dig deeper?" she asked, the weight of possible consequences settling heavily on her chest. With resolve in her voice, Sarah replied, "Then we outsmart them. Together." Angela felt a burst of hope at that. "All right. Together." But even as she spoke, she couldn't shake the feeling that time was against them. What would they discover next? And how far would they need to go before the truth emerged? Determined but uncertain, she knew deep down that their next move could unravel everything she had worked for. Would they be ready for whatever awaited them next? Angela's heart raced as she stepped into Sarah's home, the familiar scent of cinnamon and clean laundry wrapping around her like a comforting blanket. But despite the warmth, a chill settled in the pit of her stomach. She had never felt so exposed, so vulnerable. "Here, let us start with this," Sarah said, flipping through her contact list on her phone, her fingers moving quickly. "I know someone in the legal field. Maybe they've heard something about the case. We can't be the only ones trying to uncover the truth." Angela nodded, her mind still buzzing. Part of her wanted to sit down and think through every detail, but time was against them. Instead, she leaned over to glance at Sarah's screen, mind racing through everyone they could contact. "Let us make a list of all potential witnesses," she suggested, her voice steady despite the whirlwind in her chest. "Anyone who was at the courthouse or might know something about the judge and their biases." Just as Sarah scribbled down names, Angela's phone buzzed in her pocket. Her heart jolted. It wasn't the kind of call or message she wanted right now. She fished it out, glancing at the screen. Her lawyer's name flickered back at her. "Should I answer?" she asked, her voice barely more than a whisper. "Definitely," Sarah urged, her focus unwavering as she continued jotting names. "We need to know what is going on." Taking a deep breath, Angela hit the answer button. "Hello," she said, conscious of how shaky her voice sounded. "Angela, it's Dan," her lawyer said, his tone even but laced with urgency. "I've been notified by the court they're moving your next date up. It's now set for next week." Angela's stomach dropped. Next week? The walls felt like they were closing in as panic swept over her. "That's not enough time." "I know," Dan assured her, his voice firm. "But there's something else. I caught wind of some not suitable remarks being made about your case during a recent conference call. I'm gathering evidence, but we need strong witnesses." A flicker of hope sparked in her chest. "We're already working on that." "I just need Angela." "Be careful," he interrupted, concern threading his words. "If they suspect that you're preparing to counter their narrative, who knows how they might react. You need to stay under the radar." "Under the radar?" she repeated incredulously, feeling the fight within her rise. "But I can't just sit back and let them tear me apart." "I know you want to fight," he said, his voice softer now. But you have to stay smart. Strategize. This is about winning, not just about making noise. With a shaky breath, Angela hung up. They're pushing us back. The hearing is next week, she announced, the news hanging heavy in the air. What? That's insane. Sarah exclaimed, her face reflecting Angela's own disbelief. We need more time. We can't let them catch us unprepared. Then we move fast, but with caution, Angela said, feeling every ounce of willpower surge through her. It was going to be a battle not just for her, but for Aaliyah and everyone affected by a judgment based on skewed perceptions. I need to contact those witnesses tonight, Sarah said, determination flashing in her eyes. If we gather what we can, we might build something strong enough to expose them. Angela mounted her resolve, forcing away the crack of doubt that attempted to rise within her. Let us do it. No more waiting. As they worked, a sudden thought struck her. What if Aaliyah's mother knows something? She was close to that family. It's worth a shot, Sarah agreed. We can see if she is willing to help. The hours passed as they made calls, scribbled notes, and strategized under the dim light of the living room. With each moment, the weight of urgency pressed down on them. They were piecing together the fragments of a battle plan, knowing they might have only one chance, but as the clock ticked away, a fresh wave of fear bubbled up. Would they uncover enough evidence before time ran out? Angela's thoughts drifted to Aaliyah again, the innocent girl caught in the crossfire of adult battles. The front door creaked open, startling both of them. In walked Aaliyah's mother, her face drawn with concern. I heard about what happened, can we talk? Angela's pulse quickened. This could be the breakthrough they needed. But what if it turned out to be another challenge? In that moment, she realized, this wasn't just about survival. This was about creating a path for the future, a fight for something greater than herself. Absolutely, she said, steeling herself for what was to come. But deep inside, a question loomed larger than ever, was she ready for the truth that lay ahead? Aaliyah's mother hesitated just inside the doorway, her eyes darting nervously between Angela and Sarah. Angela caught a glimpse of the worry etched in her features, the way her hands trembled slightly at her sides. She felt the weight of this woman's pain deep in her chest. They were all fighting a battle that none of them had chose. Please, come in, Angela urged, gesturing to the sofa. We need to talk. Once seated, Aaliyah's mother clasped her hands tightly. I don't know how to help, she said softly, her voice cracking. But I want to try. Angela felt a spark of hope ignite within her. You already are, she affirmed. Just being here means so much. We're looking for witnesses, people who can tell the truth about what happened to Aaliyah. I heard things, she stuttered, her eyes glistening with unshed tears. About what they said in court. About Aaliyah and the judge. What did you hear? Sarah pressed, leaning forward, her notepad ready. Aaliyah's mother shifted uncomfortably, her expression turning pained. They labeled her weak just because she is well, because of who she is. It was like they were deciding her fate before she even stepped in front of them. Angela's heart sank. This wasn't just a courtroom issue, this was an attack on Aaliyah's very being. And what about the judge? Angela asked. Do you think he has biases? Absolutely, Aaliyah's mother replied fiercely, her voice rising. He has been praised for his tough stance on cases like this. Tough doesn't mean fair. Aaliyah deserves so much better. Angela felt something shift within her. This was the fire they needed to fuel their fight. Is there anyone else who might help? She pressed. Anyone who would be willing to speak out? Aaliyah's mother hesitated. There's Miss Thompson, she was there, and she has been angry about how the system treated Aaliyah. I can talk to her if you think it'll help. Yes. That could be crucial. Sarah chimed in, scribbling down notes. Will you call her? Aaliyah's mother nodded. I can, but I'm scared. What if they come after me too? What will happen if they find out I'm helping you? Angela leaned forward, gripping her hand in solidarity. You're not alone. We're all in this together. You are stronger than they think, she said, willing her voice to be steady. Thank you, she whispered, blinking back tears. I want Aaliyah to have a chance. A moment of silence hung between them, heavy with determination. Angela took a deep breath, feeling the shared resolve sink deep into their hearts. She was filled with a sense of clarity. This wasn't just about her, it was for Aaliyah and every other child like her. As Aaliyah's mother reached for her phone, Angela glanced at Sarah, who met her eyes with a spark of shared purpose. They needed to move quickly. Time was slipping away, and every moment mattered. Suddenly, a loud thump echoed from the back of the house, followed by a muffled voice. Mom, is everything okay? Aaliyah called out. The cheerful innocence of the girl struck hard against the tension in the room. Aaliyah's mother immediately stiffened, her expression morphing into panic. I can't let her see me like this. You have to go. No. Angela interjected quickly. We need to stay united. If she sees you upset, it could hurt her. We have to present strength. With an uncertain glance, Aaliyah's mother took a shaky breath and lingered a moment longer. Do you really think we can fight this? Angela felt the weight of her own doubts, but she couldn't show them. Yes, we can. We just need to take it one step at a time. Aaliyah's mother nodded slowly, resolve forming in her expression. Okay, I'll do it. As the air crackled with newfound momentum, Angela couldn't shake the feeling that they were on the brink of something monumental. Yet, another voice echoed in the back of her mind, a whisper of doubt. What if they weren't strong enough? What if exposing the truth brought more pain than resolution? Aaliyah deserves this, she said aloud, fighting back her fears. Let us do it for her, Sarah replied, her determination unwavering. But just as they were about to take a step forward, another knock resounded on the door, this one sharper and more insistent. Who is it? Angela asked, unease creeping in again. What if it's someone from the court? What if they found out? Aaliyah's mother whispered, fear tightening her voice. They exchanged worried glances, hearts racing as Angela approached the door, feeling the weight of her decision pressing heavily on her chest. Was this the moment everything changed? Angela's heart pounded in her chest as she reached for the doorknob. Every instinct told her to be cautious, to brace for whatever awaited her on the other side. Fears spun in her mind. Had they been discovered? Were they about to be confronted by someone who wanted to silence them? Taking a deep breath, she opened the door cautiously, revealing a middle-aged woman with a stern expression. Her familiar, slightly disheveled hair was graying at the temples, and her clothes appeared hastily put together. Angela recognized her immediately. It was Miss Thompson, a teacher who had always shown kindness to Aaliyah. Miss Thompson? Angela asked, a little surprised. What are you doing here? I heard what happened, Miss Thompson said, urgency lacing her voice. I came as soon as I could. Aaliyah's mother told me everything. I want to help. Relief flooded Angela. She stepped aside to let Miss Thompson in, and Aaliyah's mother practically flew across the room, overwhelmed with emotion. You came! She exclaimed, tears welling in her eyes. Of course I came, Miss Thompson replied, embracing Aaliyah's mother tightly. We can't let this go unchallenged. Aaliyah needs us. As Aaliyah's mother calmed her shaking hands, Angela felt an electric jolt of determination in the air. They now had another powerful ally, someone who had seen Aaliyah's struggle firsthand as a teaching professional. Thank you for coming, Angela said, her voice steadier now. But we need your voice. We need witnesses who won't back down. I'm ready, Miss Thompson responded firmly. I want to let them distort Aaliyah's truth. Aaliyah's mother, finding strength in the moment, spoke up. Miss Thompson, do you remember what you said after the hearing? About the judge? Absolutely, Miss Thompson said, her eyes narrowing at the thought. I couldn't believe the words he used. He called her vulnerable, and that word is a weapon in this context. It's meant to demean. It was wrong. Angela felt a fire ignite within her. That's it. We need to stress how their language was controlled and damaging. They want to label her as weak, but she is strong. She is brave. Anyone who knows Aaliyah knows that. Yes. Sarah chimed in, eyes sparkling with enthusiasm. And together, we can show them what real strength looks like. We have to rally more people, staff, parents, anyone who has seen Aaliyah's impact. Just then, Aaliyah's voice piped up again from the hallway, innocent and curious. Mom. Can I come in? The room fell silent, the air suddenly thick with tension. No. Stay there. Aaliyah's mother called out in a panicked whisper, but then she visibly relaxed as if her heart had realized Aaliyah needed her just as much. Okay, let us all just breathe. Angela's voice was gentle. Miss Thompson, can you talk to her? Maybe take her for a walk. Of course. I can distract her, Miss Thompson replied, determination tinged with tenderness. As Miss Thompson stepped into the hallway, Angela turned to Aaliyah's mother. This moment is pivotal. Aaliyah will see strength in you. For her, we have to dig deep. Aaliyah's mother took a deep breath, her resolve written across her face. Let us do this. Enough silence. The door swung open, and the three women felt an incredible shift in energy. They were no longer alone, they were united, a small but powerful team ready to fight, but as Miss Thompson and Aaliyah left the room, a heavy silence fell over Angela and Aaliyah's mother. Outside, were they truly strong enough to withstand the storm ahead? Will they listen? Aaliyah's mother questioned, her voice trembling again with uncertainty. Yes, they will. We'll make them, Angela vowed, but even she felt the tremor of doubt lingering beneath the surface. Then, just as they began to discuss their next steps, the unmistakable sound of sirens blared in the distance, growing louder and closer. What is happening? Aaliyah's mother gasped, her eyes wide with fear. Angela's heart raced again. We need to be prepared. This is just the beginning, but what were they really in for? Would the truth truly protect them? The sirens pierced the thick air, a frantic reminder that they were running out of time. Angela felt her stomach drop as she exchanged a worried glance with Aaliyah's mother. The urgency in the air grew heavier, pressing down on them both. Do you think they know? Aaliyah's mother asked, her voice barely above a whisper. It was a question that sent a shiver up Angela's spine. I don't know, but we can't panic, Angela replied, clenching her fists. We have to stay focused. Our next steps matter more than ever. With newfound determination, Angela grabbed her phone from the table, her fingers flying across the screen as she started to send a message to the parents' group chat. We need people to gather. They need to hear Aaliyah's story. We can't let her be labeled like that without a fight. As she tapped out her words, Aaliyah's mother moved closer. What if they come for us? What if they think we're causing trouble? Angela turned to her, her voice steady. We aren't causing trouble. We're speaking the truth. The better question is, how many people will stand with us? The words hung in the air, and Angela could feel the weight of hope starting to build again, just like before. They needed more support, more voices. The thought of a crowd rallying behind Aaliyah gave her strength. But even as she typed, an unsettling fear tinged her bravado. What if they couldn't find enough allies in time? Miss Thompson is out there with Aaliyah, she said, forcing a smile. They're safe. We just have to keep our heads in the game. We'll reach out to the staff, maybe some of the parents who have supported Aaliyah in the past. People know she is strong, they want to stand up for her. Aaliyah's mother nodded slowly, but Angela could see that fear still etched on her face. I can't lose her. Not again. Hey, Angela said softly, reaching out to grasp her friend's hand. We won't lose her. Not now, not ever. We're going to make sure everyone knows just how strong she is. As if on cue, Miss Thompson returned, her expression somber but resolute. Aaliyah is playing a game with a friend just down the hall. I told her we'd be busy for a while. Thank you, Angela said, exhaling. She felt more at ease knowing Aaliyah was nearby, safe, even if the storm was brewing outside. Have you made contact with anyone? Miss Thompson asked, glancing at Angela's phone. Just getting started, Angela replied. Timing is everything. We need them to understand this isn't just about Aaliyah, it's a bigger fight against the fear and the labels that they use to control people. Yes, Miss Thompson said, her eyes lighting up with purpose. We need to gather stories, gather voices. People need to see how resilient Aaliyah is. The more we can show her strength, the harder it will be for them to keep pushing her down. They formed a quick plan, each of them taking on a role, and as they mapped things out, Angela felt the spark of hope reignite. She thought of Aaliyah, of her laughter and her spirit. We can do this together. We have to. Just then, the sound of footsteps reached them, heavy and deliberate. Angela's heart raced again. What is happening? She whispered urgently. Stay calm, Miss Thompson instructed as she moved to the door, a protective stance forming over Angela and Aaliyah's mother. The door creaked open, revealing two stern officers in uniforms. We need to ask you some questions, one of them stated, his tone all business. Angela's pulse quickened. She didn't know what they wanted, but she could sense the tension leaping around the room, ready to explode. Would they try to intimidate them? Did Aaliyah's truth scare them enough to send officers here? Identify yourselves, Miss Thompson said, her voice unwavering. Angela held her breath. This was at the moment that could change everything. But what impact would it have? Would their voices be silenced, or would they rise together against this tide? Angela felt the walls close in around her as the officers stepped further into the room. She could barely think, her mind a whirlwind of fear and determination. Miss Thompson remained grounded, the embodiment of calm authority. Why are you here? She pressed. The officer who had spoken before, his face expressionless, took a step forward. We have received reports regarding a disturbance involving a student. His eyes fell to Aaliyah's mother, studying her closely. We need to get to the bottom of this situation. Angela exchanged a glance with Aaliyah's mother, who was now trembling slightly. Aaliyah isn't involved in any disturbance, she said, her voice tinged with defiance. She is just a kid who deserves to be safe. This isn't about her, it's about how people label her. The second officer's eyes narrowed as he glanced at Angela, the tension in the room thickening. You all need to calm down. We're here to help. Help? Angela scoffed, feeling a fire ignite inside her. By questioning us? By scaring us? This isn't how you help. She couldn't hold back any longer, her heart beat loud in her chest. Aaliyah deserves support, not intimidation. We know what we're fighting for. She needs to be seen for who she truly is. Miss Thompson nodded in agreement, her presence providing strength that Angela drew from. This isn't a disturbance. This is a community coming together to uplift a young girl who has been wronged. If you truly want to help, you can start by listening to us. The officers exchanged glances, the weight of the room pressing down. For a moment, the world outside ceased to exist. The sirens faded into the background, and Angela could feel the urgency of their mission seep into the officers' stubbornness. Let us start with Aaliyah's story, one officer finally said, softening just slightly. If we can understand what is happening, we can better assist. Angela's heart raced. This was at the opening they desperately needed. Aaliyah is not just a label. She is a brilliant young woman who has faced so much. We've seen the way adults and peers dismiss her, how they treat her as weaker when she is anything but. She took a deep breath and felt the eyes of Aaliyah's mother and Miss Thompson on her, encouraging her to keep going. It's our duty to speak for her, to show the world that labeling someone doesn't define their worth or their strength. We're gathering stories, support everyone who believes in Aaliyah's right to be seen, to be loved, and to be accepted. Have you spoken to anyone outside of your immediate group? The second officer asked, watching her closely now. Not yet, but we will, Angela said, her confidence building. We'll reach out to everyone who knows her, who values her. Aaliyah deserves to be heard. We're more than just a few voices in this room. We are a community fighting against injustice. The tension began to thaw, and Angela could sense a glimmer of understanding in the officer's eyes. Perhaps they could see her passion, a flicker of the hope she felt for Aaliyah. Why are you doing this? The first officer asked, genuine curiosity surfacing. What does Aaliyah mean to you? Angela paused, feeling the weight of every word. She means the world to us. She is our sister, our friend. Her fight is our fight because when one of us is attacked, we all feel it. We can't let fear define her future. We have to rise. Just then, the sound of footsteps echoed down the hallway, growing louder. Angela's heart leapt in anticipation. Was it another ally, or something more ominous? What is happening now? She whispered to Miss Thompson, who tightened her grip on Angela's arm, the tension gripping them again, but the door burst open, and another figure appeared, face flushed with urgency. Angela's breath caught in her throat. This was either the rescue they were waiting for, or the beginning of something far worse. What is going on? The newcomer shouted, wide-eyed and frantic, illuminating the worried faces in the room. The officers exchanged wary glances as uncertainty loomed over them. This moment could shift everything. Would it bring unity, or fuel the fire of conflict? As the door swung open wider, Angela's heart thudded in her chest, each beat echoing with the weight of uncertainty. She felt the room tighten, a single, tense moment that seemed to stretch into infinity. The figure standing in the threshold was none other than Larry, Aaliyah's father. His disheveled hair and anxious eyes said everything before he could speak. What is happening here? He demanded, stepping in with a protective urgency that filled the space. The officers stiffened, confusion flickering in their eyes. This wasn't just another bystander. He was Aaliyah's dad, the very man who had championed her when everyone else had turned away. Angela took a shaky breath, feeling a renewed swell of strength coursing through her. Larry, we're fighting for Aaliyah, she said firmly, her resolve crystallizing. They want to silence us, but we're here to make her story known. I don't care what they want, Larry replied, his voice steady and fierce. My daughter needs to be heard. Her name isn't some label they can throw around. She is a beautiful soul with dreams and aspirations. The officers looked at each other, sensing the powerful energy rising around them. Miss Thompson stepped in, her voice calm yet assertive. We're gathering testimonies to show how the system has unfairly portrayed Aaliyah. She is strong, not weak. And we need your support, Larry. Together, we can shift this narrative. A flicker of realization crossed the officers' faces. They were witnessing something bigger than themselves, a wave of collective truth crashing over generations of silence. We get that, one officer said, softer now, their previous authority beginning to crack. But we need to understand your perspective better. Angela felt hope surge. Aaliyah deserves a chance to grow up in a world that reflects who she truly is, not one where she is labeled and diminished. She steadied herself, fixing her gaze fiercely on the officers. We need your help in correcting the past. We can't let prejudice define our children. One officer nodded slowly. He turned to Larry. You're her father, right? What can you tell us about what she is facing? Gathering himself, Larry took a deep breath and spoke. They branded her vulnerable, but that is not who she is. Aaliyah is resilient. She has dealt with more at her age than most adults. It's time the world understands her strength and how much she has overcome. Angela glanced at Aaliyah's mother, who clasped her hands together, tears glistening in her eyes. We will not allow our children to be seen as lesser. It's our responsibility to raise our voices. This fight doesn't belong to just one parent or one child. It belongs to us all. Feeling the surge of empowerment, the officers looked at one another, their expressions shifting. It felt like a crack in the dam, a place where compassion might seep through. Angela stepped forward again. The truth is powerful. And it thrives in unity. We need a community, and Aaliyah's worth will shine through every story shared. As she spoke, she felt the energetic pulse of resolve gaining momentum behind her. Injustice is something we have to confront together, one officer remarked, visibly moved by the passion around him. We can start by documenting this conversation. Perhaps even offering our assistance to ensure Aaliyah's story is known. Just then, Aaliyah peeked through the doorway, her bright eyes wide with curiosity, innocence shining through the cracks of grown-up chaos in the room. The sight of her made Angela's heart swell painfully. Mom. Aaliyah's voice cut through. Come here, sweetheart, Aaliyah's mother called gently, opening her arms wide. As Aaliyah rushed into the safety of her mother's embrace, Angela's heart swelled with a fierce love, a love that could break through any barrier. What had begun as an act of intimidation had transformed into an opportunity to show unyielding support, an undeniable wave of community joining hands against injustice. Angela felt the collective strength surrounding her, the unbreakable bond of shared struggles and triumphs. It was contagious, powerful, an echo of resilience reverberating off the courtroom walls and beyond. For Aaliyah. She shouted, the cry resonating through the room. Outside, the sirens began to fade away. Angela felt, truly felt, that they were turning the tides of judgment. This was not just about one case, one child, this was about a movement, a statement against every strength that had ever been marginalized. As the last of the tension released from the air, the officers began to nod. Their resolve softened, eyes opening to the power of those they protected. Angela knew they were on the precipice of something profound, that Aaliyah's light would shine brightly. In that moment, the fears uncoupled, Angela was finally at peace. She had stood up, sparked solidarity, and found not only her voice, but the voices of those around her. The next step awaited, an unknown leap forward, but it was a journey they would walk together, hand in hand. Let us go change the world, Angela whispered, her radiant smile lighting everyone's heart, an aura of inspiration that promised not only a victory but a celebration of every unique story waiting to be told. Now is the time to make your voice heard. Subscribe immediately to the channel to not miss the next exclusive stories, leave a like now to feed the algorithm. Your support is critical. Comment your reactions and feelings about this powerful ending. Share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who need to witness this incredible transformation. You need to subscribe now. Let's rise together. Don't wait not even one more second to share.